All right, guys, welcome back to a new video here. So, Jon Stewart might have been suggesting in a recent podcast appearance with Mehdi Hasan that he might be running for president. At minimum, he did not shut it down, which is pretty crazy stuff. As I'm sure many of you guys know by now, a lot of people have been pushing Jon Stewart to run for president. Someone outside the Democratic establishment, someone who people have respect for on kind of all political sides. And Jon Stewart, whatever you think about him, there's no question he has a tremendous amount of influence, and people listen when he speaks. There's no question about it. He sort of positions himself in the populist left category, which a lot of people think. And of course, a lot of the appeal with Trump guys, of course, is the fact not only did he present himself when he first came up as anti-establishment, but he was also kind of a reality TV show host. He's also in the entertainment industry, which is exactly what Jon Stewart is from. And you could kind of see the pipeline for maybe a Democratic Trump in the sense where he's outside the establishment. And you're already seeing, I mean, let's be honest, guys, the Democratic Party base, the Democratic Party voters, they're done with the establishment. They're just not happy with it. They want a total change, which is why you're seeing a lot of outside the box people or outside the establishment people like Zoran Mandami and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez continue to build a lot of support of their base. There's no question they're far more popular now, the Democratic Socialist wing of the party, than they were even a couple years ago. And that's because the Democratic establishment, in the eyes of the voters, has not succeeded, which is why someone like Jon Stewart, I think, actually has a chance. People do not want a status quo candidate in 2028. So it's absolutely wild stuff. And by the way, guys, thank you guys so much for the support. We're continuing to get a ton of subscribers, and we actually just reached the first wave of monetization. So if you guys want to become a member, you can join below. The link is below. My Patreon link is below if you want to support the channel in that way. Make sure to like, and at very minimum, just subscribe to the channel. Again, it's super good for the algorithm. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to become a member, the link is below. So we got a clip here. Jon Stewart and Mehdi Hasan. Here's a clip. Let me know what you guys think about it. There was a lot of discussion. Some people thought it was kind of a nothing burger. Some people thought, oh, he actually kind of is implying he might be running here. That's kind of what my takeaway was. So let me know what you guys think about this, and we'll talk about it in a minute. Here's the first clip, and we'll talk about it.
Fetishizing the little guy and we the people, when in fact the opposite has occurred, and the Supreme Court has empowered really this kind of much more authoritative processing of all those avenues. And in some respects, then it comes down to, is the answer the Democratic Party's ripe for a takeover? And they just need to find the right reality host that can get in there and start lining up all of those interests.
Please, no reality host. I beg of you.
Jeff Probst, maybe Jeff Probst, Survivor.
Unless Jon, you're thinking of throwing your hat in the ring, which I know. I know many people want you to throw your hat in the ring. If that's what you're suggesting, we can talk about that. But please, otherwise, no TV show hosts.
None of those.
But look, I think New York in November will be a very, very interesting result.
Okay, so again, a lot of people think, you know what, he didn't really say anything explicitly, but I kind of disagree. Again, Jon Stewart's a great communicator, which is why people think he'd also have a good chance of potentially winning. I don't think it's that out of the question. If he actually runs, he would have a chance of winning because he's such a skilled communicator. So he knows what he's saying when he says the Democrats, it might be the party is ripe for a takeover. All they need now is their own reality TV show host. To me, it seemed like he was talking about himself. He didn't explicitly say it, but I thought that's what he was suggesting. And then Mehdi Hasan asked him, oh, okay, Jon, are you saying you might throw your hat in the ring? And then again, he kind of intercedes. And I wish Mehdi did not intercede. And he's usually a great interviewer, but he did intercede there. I wish he just would have let Stewart, left it up in the air for a little bit and let Mehdi Hasan, or excuse me, Jon Stewart, kind of give his rationale, because it would have been interesting to hear what he would have to say, because obviously a lot of people want him to run, and obviously he hears the noise around it. I think it's really just going to be enough people going to him and saying, Jon, you're going to run for president? I actually think you would have a good chance of doing it. And again, do I think he's going to run? I think he might. I don't know. I would say 40% right now that he's going to run for president. I don't know what you guys think, and let me know in the comments, but I just think that the Democratic Party is ripe for a takeover. I think chances are I don't see it being a Gavin Newsom in 2028. I definitely don't see it being a Kamala Harris in 2028. I think the party is shifting kind of populist left, which is why I think someone like Jon Stewart would have a really good chance of being the Democratic Party's nominee. But again, that's in so much time from now. I think a lot's going to depend on how the next couple of years go, obviously. And obviously the Democratic Party, in terms of the populist left, is surging right now. There's no question about that. But, it has to play out. Are they going to be able to maintain this momentum for the next 2-3 years before the election in 2028? Which I think they probably will. I think the midterms are going to be super interesting to see how the Democratic populist candidates do. But I think it's pretty clear that the Democrats are going to be going, or they're already going in a completely different direction, very similar to the Republican Party in 2010, where we saw the Tea Party movement emerge. I think you might see that in the left. It'll be very similar to the Republican establishment was pissed. They were unhappy. They went with the guy with Trump, who they assumed was anti-establishment. Of course, we know now that he's really not that anti-establishment. He's more of the same in terms of, uh, you know, neoconservative foreign policy. As I mean, we literally just bombed Iran. So, I mean, again, the idea that he's anti-peace is ridiculous. But Jon Stewart is actually talking about kind of changing the system far more than someone like Trump is, at least that in practice. So the entire thing's super interesting. I don't know. I thought it was super interesting. I thought he was kind of throwing it out there just to see what people would think about it. But who knows? Maybe it is a nothing burger. Maybe it isn't. Let me know what you guys think about it in the comments. Again, guys, if you want to become a member of the channel, the link is below so you can sign up for that. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. It's very minimum to subscribe. Super good for the algorithm. Thank you guys so much for watching. Any big news that comes out this week, I'll have it for you right here. Thanks so much for watching. Have a good night, and I'll see you later.